Good afternoon, everyone. Coming up to 2 o'clock. We're nearly there, so just give a few moments for people to connect. Gone live a little bit early, but there we are, scheduled for 2 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll get some people coming on board. Richard.
Yeah.
Right, Richard, can I hear you? This is the question.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Can't hear a thing. Well, it helps if I turn my volume up. But does that actually let me hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Indeed, sir. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Oh, a bit tired. Unfortunately, I'm back in Paris.
Yeah. So you've had a bit of a holiday, but it's all over now.
Yeah, and I don't get another holiday until July.
I thought life for the retirees was one permanent holiday.
Ha! Well, the problem is my wife still works half the time, so she had to go to work today.
Yeah.
And she works Wednesday mornings, all day Thursday. Well, all day Wednesday, half a day Thursday, and half a day on Friday. And starting till June, she'll cut down another half a day.
Well, it's always good to work less for other people and have more time.
Yeah.
So most of our lives is spent working for others, isn't it? So,
unfortunately.
But as from Tuesday, I'll have my new people I have to report to.
Oh God!
Yeah, so there we are.
Will you be at home or will you be elsewhere?
I got a bob in a warehouse. Running around after people who have Amazon or eBay stock to ship, and I'll be shipping their stock for them. So, be fun.
Yeah.
Now I've had. I was hoping that Peter might join us because I had a very good discussion with him in the week, and I've also had a good long discussion with Roy yesterday and went through quite a bit of things with him with one of his layout panels with putting some masts on and stuff, and he's become more confident in doing things. So, but Peter's layout is particularly interesting in terms of the level of complexity and the number of signals that he's going to be wanting on it, and also the fact that he's kind of trying to do masts. And we had some discussion last week, and it's quite a challenge to get that to work. But I think we've kind of made some progress on it. So I'm hopeful, we can report on it. If he doesn't turn up, I'll take the liberty of sharing a little bit of information about that with you anyway. But
there are a couple of things I discovered. One, to get double-headed masts is not easy. I found two sources of them in the United States.
When you say it's not easy, are you talking about the system itself, or are you talking about the icons, or what do you mean it's difficult?
I'm talking about the real little masts that you want to stick.
Oh, the physical ones, the actual ones,
yeah. I've got two sources of them. They're about $40 a piece.
What kind of era or style are those?
Just very plain. Two heads, three aspects on the same mast.
Is that Econ or some company like that?
One is Tomar. I can send you the stuff on the companies. One is called Tomar, which makes HO scale stuff, I think. And there's another small little private company in Oregon, which does the same thing.
We got Roy as well. Welcome, Roy.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Richard.
Hi. Unfortunately, I'm back in Paris.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Not to worry.
Yeah.
So you can it's something to look forward to the next time you go to to Normandy, then, isn't it?
Well, that will be around the middle of July or the beginning of July.
Oh, that's not too far along to wait, then, is it?
Yeah, I'm impatient.
Okay.
And we're going to have a whole bunch of cousins and things get together at their house and have an oyster festival.
Oh, very nice too.
Cool.
Especially since all the oysters will come from about a mile away down by the beach.
Oh, lovely.
There are a bunch of oyster companies down there.
Can't be more fresh than that, can they?
Yeah.
Righto. John, we were talking yesterday
Yeah,
about this layout that I'm doing at the moment. Just one
Yeah,
question
yeah.
that I'm doing. I'm revamping it all, as you know. The part where we were talking about, a section, sorry, not a section, a block, yeah,
Okay.
and then have another block at the end of it as part of it, if you like, which is the part for slowing down. So you put a signal there. It's those two blocks, actually two independent blocks, but as part of the main full block, if you like. So like one long block.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because the way that JMRI works with using signal aspect speed for the automation, if you want to slow down, I mean, you can do it with the mast. I mean, if for example you wanted to have an indication of a yellow aspect coming into that block, then that might be one way of doing it. But what you're talking about really is a very short block, which is a stopping block, isn't it? Really, because the yellow aspect would normally give you the full length of a long block to decelerate from a reasonable speed down to a red signal. That's what we're talking about. Really, is not that. So I wouldn't say that boundary is really a signal boundary. It's really a detection boundary for your stop block.
Right. So that doesn't actually need a signal there, but it does need to be a separate block that you set the.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We can play with that.
If you have if the train enters the block and you have a yellow signal on that boundary of the block, it's essentially, is it not the sensor in that yellow block which is giving a command to the command station to deaccelerate?
Yeah, well, what we're saying is that we really want to slow down to a yellow speed on the previous block boundary, because the short stopping block is not enough to slow down from a yellow to stop. What we're talking about is just a very short block to detect, or just an infrared sensor, which says we are now at the point of stopping. So we have been slowing. We might not have slowed quite quick enough. At the moment, one of my block lengths in my hidden fiddle yard is, just in the simulation, is the train going into that is decelerating and slowing and stopping before the stop sensor activates. I've got it on a bit of logic saying, fire the stop sensor after so many seconds to give it a chance to get into the block.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But if it's a very short block, then you might, and you've got an infrared sensor or current detection, you could just use that directly to say the train is now where we want it to stop. But you don't need to have a signal necessarily. I mean, I think we could look at that, because when JMRI, one of the interesting things in JMRI is you don't have to have a signal on a block boundary, but then when you start doing automation, things always get more complicated doing automation. Because there's the internal workings that interpret things in ways that you might not want it to.
No, I understand that.
And so the dispatcher does look towards block boundaries and kind of wants to see a signal mast. It doesn't have to, but it kind of wants to. And then you might say, well, should there be a mast there or not? Is it going to behave properly? If there isn't, you could put a virtual mast in. You could have it just as I have in one place, just have it as a repeater, so you can have a signal which just is the same as the next. So it could be just a virtual mast that repeats the next signal, which, if it's stop, then it will just have a red aspect on it.
Yeah, I mean,
just,
so what we're really saying is it doesn't need to have a mast there or a signal there, but it does need to have a detector, like an infrared detector, to
it needs
say that
something.
I'm
Yeah,
moving into that
yeah,
block to slow down.
yeah. That's
And
your
that,
final kind of point
yeah,
of call to say, stop now. We've
yeah.
had enough of you slowing down. We've got to have a
Oh no,
physical
this is
stop. Yeah.
no, I was thinking that this piece, you've got a piece here that is the normal block running, as you say, like at 100% or whatever it is, and then there's a shorter block after it at the end of it that is the part to slow down and stop. So you've got a length that is running at normal speed. Then it gets to the next block, which is the slowing and stopping block, which of course depends on the block ahead. So that's where I'm talking about. So it'd be one long block logically, yeah, but physically it's two separate blocks. One being the normal drive block, and the other one being the slowdown block. That's what
you have to have two sensors. You have to have a sensor in what you're calling the slowdown block, which means
that's right.
Which means it has to be it has to be, depends on what you're doing. If it's an occupancy sensor, it has to be insulated from the green block.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, effectively, I am revamping that layout from yesterday, and it's simplified it immensely. But I'm still on the process of doing it. But I've split it now so that what happens is if you remember, we had a top section that was a fairly short length before it started to go around the corner. I've actually taken it now that the block is from the exit of the point right the way around to effectively 45-degree angle on that curve.
Have you got it there to share with us, Roy? I mean, I always believe in these things being on the screen so we can all see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I can try and show you, although obviously it's nowhere near finished.
Yeah.
So what do I do? Just click share.
Yeah.
Share screen.
I'll add it in then.
Share screen. It's sharing screen 2 there. Share screen 1. Share. It's nothing's coming up.
No, that's okay. There we are.
There, now it's coming up.
Right. Okay. Can you see it all right? Because
I can see it coming up now.
Right. Yeah. This is the part that I'm doing now. So effectively, let me just fire that off and get the points sorted out. And then those. Right, all these sensors here. So effectively, that's the entrance to the block. Or this block here, which I'm still developing.
Okay.
That there is a block going up to effectively that position there.
Okay.
And then that there is another block, but it's part of the same block. So that whole area from that point there, right the way round to there, to that sensor is one block.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm getting confused on blocks being part of blocks.
This is the discussion that Roy and myself was having yesterday, because when we talk about between two signals, you have a block. That's normal parlance for a block, but what we're talking about here is breaking that down a bit, isn't it, Roy? So
effectively, in real terms, the block as such.
Could you turn off the grid by getting rid of the edit thing? I can't see where you have your green. Right. Damn! That got rid of the block boundaries. Now I don't see the block boundaries.
No, that's the problem.
Okay.
Well, if you can imagine it.
Wait, hold on a second.
Let me stop you there.
You can put up the edit screen, but get rid of the grid.
Right. Let me just say, Roy, please, if you just illuminate because you've got some block sensors, haven't you? So if you just click on the block sensor, we can see it lit up. Will it light up? Will it light up?
It has done, hasn't it?
No.
Oh, no, the block sensors aren't running because I've not set the blocks up yet.
Oh, right. Okay.
But the idea would be that there, from there, round to there, is in real terms a block. And if later on I operate that sensor there, yeah, it would illuminate all that block right the way round to there.
Okay. Well, let's do it, because it's not much effort to add that into the block sensor, is it? Now we can actually see that what we're talking about is correct. So
Right, okay.
if you edit that top block with the sensor, we'll see it go on. Because this is what I was playing with the other day and showing you, wasn't it? So
that's right.
So create edit block. Oh, you've not got a block name. Oh, right. Okay.
Out of block 1, it'll be.
Okay.
And then the sensor would be.
So go into the choose the sensor.
And it'll be S9A1. If I can find it there, S9A1. So now then, that there.
Okay, so click on the sensor.
Yeah.
There we are.
Okay.
Now we can see the block you're talking about.
Right. Now then.
Yeah. There's no doubt. There's no doubt now.
So the next question, or my next question, is this one here is also a block, also part of that whole block. The whole block actually goes round to this point here.
Well, I think this is where the confusion. We have to be careful, because in JMRI the block is the one with the sensor, so they're not the same block. They are separate blocks. But if you're talking about this, is just because we want to put masts further around the corner. So what the question is, where exactly are you placing your signal masts?
There'll be one that the end of that block would be there at S1A3. So if I carry on with this one first and edit that, yeah, and make that block 2 at the moment out of block 2 for now. Can always change it later and go into the next one. And the next one would be the next pseudo sensor.
Whatever that is, because that doesn't exist as a term. Just being clear for visitors, there's no such thing as a pseudo sensor in JMRI.
No, it's just the way that mine works. Yeah. So now that would come on. But also this would be...
Peter's joined us. So there you are. Welcome to the stream, Peter.
Yeah, sorry. Hi. I'm at my daughter.
Okay. Yeah, well, very welcome.
If you could close the curtain behind you, I could see you better, because you're in the...
My apologies, but you may wish I hadn't closed it, but I will try.
Right, now, as far as...
Much better.
Thank you.
I agree.
I take that as a compliment.
Well, it was meant as such.
Thank you.
Right.
I can see you have a longer beard than mine.
Temporarily.
Well, I've had mine 50 years.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm interested in this. I've just come in.
Roy's in full flow.
Yeah, the idea of this is that there's 3. Well, the thing is that, for example, if I operate the sensor here, which effectively is, I'm going to call it a current sensor. Yeah.
Is that a real sensor, or will it be?
Assume it is. Yeah. It's actually a derived sensor, or what I call a pseudo sensor. But forget that. As far as JMRI is concerned, when this block here from there to there is occupied anywhere, that sensor will come on and that will actually activate there. Now, what I want you to do is make that and that and that. When I can get it. Oh, have I done it? Yeah, there. Finger trouble. That's it. That there is in real terms my first block. So what's happening is the loco would start, it comes into here on the sensors, yeah? That whole block would go red. But when the loco hits this sensor, that is the pre-stop sensor for the stopping sensor, which is this one. So what happens is the loco would come in, it'd be traveling along there at its normal speed, whatever speed it happens to be. And then when that sensor gets activated from the track, a real sensor, it's an infrared sensor on the track. At that point, the block now here, if you like, those two blocks become the slowing down block or deceleration block. And then when it reaches this point here, this is where we would have the signal mast, yeah? And that would be the stop sensor there. Now that's what I'm trying to achieve. So, but at the moment, it's all three. So I need to be able to light up, if you like, each of those with the one sensor. Now, do I use the same sensor for operating those two?
It would seem to me, yes.
But that needs to be a separate block.
Well, let's think for a second, because in theory, the signal mast, which is looking at block occupancy, so protecting that block. So the one, you'd have a mast which would be before your junction at the top left there.
Here?
Somewhere there'd be a signal before that junction, wouldn't there?
Yeah, here, you mean on this side?
Yeah. So that's looking ahead towards another mast. So the other mast is where you're saying the stop sensor is that right?
Here, that's where the stop sensor is there.
Yeah. So you've only got two masts along there between the 2 points.
Well, the other mast, I'm assuming, would be on this left-hand side of the point there.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a more complex mast because it has to take into consideration the crossing there. Into these sections.
But But what I'm saying is, in order to set up the logic for that mast, you would be looking at three blocks, 3 block occupancy, or 3 sensors, which are the 3 which are active for those 3 blocks before that next signal. So all 3 will be taken into account to show what that masthead should be doing. Yeah. Right. So if any of those 3 were on, then the mast would go red. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's correct. If the first, what's getting me confused is the confusion between the electrical and the logic. If I was to look, you have 3 sensors. If the first that block delimited by the first sensor, where are the isolation points electrically?
There aren't any.
This is.
If there's none electrically, then what you have is one block just going from S1A1 to S1A3. And you have divided.
So do you want me to explain, Roy, or shall I let you do it?
No, I'll let you explain it.
Okay. No, Roy's using infrared detection. So because it's not current sensing, it's not necessary to have actual physical blocks in the track. You could have just one current feed all the way around. So it's only the position of the train which is being detected, and that's causing the JMRI sensors to be activated. So by the infrared sensors in some manner.
Yeah, I realize that. So the train comes into the first. Well, I'm going to use for me, the block is divided into sub blocks, and it comes into the block. The first sensor goes, and he wants the whole block of the 3 sub blocks to show red. That's not a problem. The sensor at the beginning of the first sub-block,
That one?
how far ahead is that detecting? I mean, the mast at the beginning of the first block, how far ahead is that detecting? All the way to S1A3, or logically, what do you want that to do?
It's effectively, it's going to be the length that is required to slow down the train, the rake, from the maximum speed that it's running at through what would be that section there up to that point. Yeah. When I say point, we're up to that location. When it triggers that sensor there, it then says that it now looks ahead, if you like, into the next group. Or the next.
1 second. When it triggers that sensor that you just showed there, is that the first sensor that's telling the train to slow down?
Correct.
Okay. Then at that point, when you enter the block, the mast should be green, because you have at least 2 blocks ahead of it, which are free.
Well,
now
well,
with it,
yeah, I hear what you're saying, Richard. When it
enters, let me finish. When it enters the second sub block, then the other mast should now be red, and the entrance to the second sub block depends on where you want it to stop. If it's going to stop in the third sub block, the entrance to the second sub block should show yellow, and the entrance to the
there is not a signal there. It is purely a detector to tell it it's going into. I'm calling it a block. It is a block. In actual fact, I've got a suspicion that this part here is wrong, because what should be is that shouldn't be there at all. In my opinion, that shouldn't be there, and neither should that. Just a second.
Okay.
And if I delete that one now, oops, wrong one. Just a minute. Now then, as far as I can see from there, what I should have had, it should have
Excuse
just
me
been
1 second. Carry on talking. I'm just going to mute myself. I've got a call coming in.
Oh, okay. Bear with me a second. I'll get this sorted out. Oh.
No, they hung up, so that didn't happen. While you're thinking, Roy, I just want to say what's in my mind at the moment. I mean, what I'm kind of thinking is maybe it would be sensible to have one block, as far as JMRI is concerned, right between the one, from where you've got the first block through to the third block. So there is only one actual JMRI block, which has got one sensor, and then what you use is some logics to activate the whole block based off your physical sensors. And if any one of those has fired, then your JMRI sensor is active. And in that way, you're only showing one logical block between signal masts, but you've got 3 actual sensors to work from.
What I'm looking at there, I'm trying to. There is some way of doing it. I can never remember how to do this. I can't remember. It's an ellipse. It's an ellipse. No, it isn't.
Well, leave it as it is. It's okay. You can do it.
Yeah, you can see what I'm doing anyway. Yeah. Right. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if I edit that block now, that would effectively be, it would be block outer 2 now. That would become.
Yeah. Well, why? What are you thinking now?
It seems simple to me. You have one whole block, as John said. going from the point to S1A3. That's one block. The train comes. There's a mast at the beginning and there's a mast at the end of the block. But let's forget about the masts. They're unimportant for the moment. The train comes into the block. It triggers the occupation sensor. Okay, nothing happens. It goes and hits the first stop sensor, which you have as infrared. It slows the train down. And when it hits the last stop sensor, which it'll stop the train.
That's right. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Now figure out what should the train coming in behind that see in terms of masts. Now that we have the first train behavior, if the block is at all occupied, the train behind it should see red at S1A1.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're not really up to that step yet. What I'm trying to just achieve at the moment, forget the signal logic at the moment for all around that area. What I'm trying to do is just get this part working so that it shows the right information, and then it'll be replicated. Effectively, the boundaries or that block is from S1A1 through to S1A3. Then the next block is from S1A3 to S1B5. And then the next block is from S1B5 to S1B7 there.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are the blocks.
Each one of those, in my opinion, should be one block. Each one of those three parts should be one block.
Correct.
And you should look at, and you should get it in such a way. Forget about the masts. Just get the sensors working. I'm not even sure you need the first sensor, because
that one.
No, the next one.
This one?
No, the one before in green.
That.
I'm not even sure you need that.
Well, that's the thing. That is the thing that tells you that this block is occupied.
But do you need it to say that? Because what will happen, I'm not sure what I'm saying. Okay, it says the block's occupied.
Yeah.
Granted. But it's the next sensor which will start slowing the train down.
That one.
That one, yeah.
Yes.
So
then it should stop there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which means the signal mast at S1A1 should stay red until the train quits S1A3.
Correct.
That's your logic.
Yeah, but Richard, you've got to remember that these sensors, that one, well, all the sensors that are on the layout are momentary. They're not on, off for long periods. The idea is what happens is the loco approaches here, wherever it's coming from, it hits that sensor and it's only momentarily on, and then off again.
It's a
Why?
And
Why? Why?
Because
It's
that's
an
the way it
infrared
works.
trigger.
It's an infrared trigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but an infrared trigger, if it's you have an infrared beam, which is active. If something blocks it, it'll be off.
Yeah, but it's not a beam that is across the track. It's from below the track coming upwards into coming vertically through the track bed. It then hits that sensor there, and they're probably only at the initial stages. It'll only be operating the loco part, if you like, from the reflection off the loco. So that sensor there is instantaneous. Sorry, is momentary. When that comes on, the information from that is fed into an Arduino. The Arduino processes that information and effectively says, the loco is in this block. And then it turns on this sensor, which is actually, as I call it, a pseudo sensor. It is not a physical sensor on the layout. It's a sensor that is transmitted back to the JMRI. So its signal.
What
Can
is
we call it a
JMRI?
call it a JMRI sensor, Roy, rather
Right.
than a pseudo
Okay.
sensor?
That sensor there is a JMRI sensor.
What does it do with the information?
Well, that's the part that tells JMRI that this section of that block is occupied. That comes on, and now it works exactly the same as what a current sensor does. So
Okay.
now what happens is, so what the function, I'll show you what the function would be. Imagine that is going all the way round to here. Yeah?
S1A1 cannot tell JMRI that the block is occupied.
No, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying.
But can it?
The loco comes in, it goes across S1A1. S1A1 turns on. The moment S1A1 turns on, yeah, it operates S9A1.
Okay.
And now that sensor goes off because the loco's gone past it.
Okay.
It continues on, and now at some point, now you can imagine all that would be red round to there. Yeah.
Okay.
I've not done the section. Now,
I
effectively,
understand.
when the loco now reaches this point, again, it's instantaneous. Sorry, momentary. So what happens is it triggers that and then goes off again. That information does something which is to tell the loco to start slowing down if the sections ahead here are occupied. And then the loco would start slowing down, and eventually it'll reach this point here. And at that point there, it'd stop. This section here is still occupied.
Okay.
All that area. Now what happens is the loco is stopped at that position, so that sensor is on. Now the loco pulls away and moves away, and that comes off at that point. Yeah. When that sensor goes off, there'll be a tail end, if you like, of the end of the rake, which is another signal, if you like, off that sensor. So that would now trigger a second time, and when that happens, it drops that. So now it tells me that that section is clear.
But that section goes.
Sorry, not section. That block.
Those three subsections. That's okay.
It's not as straightforward as just.
I don't feel I would have done it that way. I would have done it in such a way that when you have the next three sub-blocks, when they go on, then that other block gets on. It releases the first block.
When you say the first block, you mean this one here?
The block is three subsections.
And round to that point, you mean?
No, to the next point.
To the next one up here.
Yeah. So I think we should say once it's got into the next block, that would trigger
the release of the previous block.
Block. Yeah, it's because we haven't got all this enabled at the moment.
Well, I'm not looking at the enable. I'm trying to look at the logic of the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I want to throw a spanner in the works.
Okay. Go on.
The sensor there. Yeah, the sensor there is actually playing two roles. The first role is the loco coming round in that group to that point and then stops. Now it's also acting as the starting block for this block here, round to there. But it doesn't actually fire at that point because we've not actually started to move away from it yet. The sensor has got to come on and then go off again to tell it that this is occupied.
I just want to say hello to Lee, who's joined us in the chat. So welcome, Lee.
I think we're probably a bit too early in the discussion of this because I'm still developing it. I'm still getting the idea around it.
Well, let me kind of just say what my spanner is. I think, Roy, I know from the discussion I've had with you previously in terms of discussing what you're trying to achieve with these, it's not as if you're actually setting up a layout which could have varying lengths of rakes and that sort of thing. You've got a pretty fixed idea for demonstration purposes of what the train length will be and that type of thing. For the and you're demonstrating the hardware really and the automation that you can do with different sorts of hardware, rather than demonstrating a fully functioning layout with different trains and automation, which makes it quite a different kind of challenge. So I just want to be clear on that, because anyone listening who's thinking, well, I could use this to run varying lengths of train. The issue with that is with sensors like this is that if you aren't very careful, your train length is triggering sensors when JMRI will try to interpret movement between blocks.
That's right.
Based on those sensors, and it could be thinking that it's a different train in a different block, because how do you distinguish between a following train or a train which is ahead if there's gaps between your activation of different sensors?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is purely a test layout, nothing else. It's not a functional layout. It's purely for testing most of my development hardware, which involves microprocessors. It involves the Arduinos. It involves RF communications and all sorts of things. So it's purely a test. None of the blocks will be too short. All the local. Just as a reminder, this is an N gauge. The only times that you'll, all the rakes that will be running will all fit into any length of that block. So in other words, the rake will be short enough to fit into whichever is the shortest block, because that's what I'm really testing, is the concept.
And I want to be clear here, you don't mean sub blocks, you mean...
I mean a full block. I mean, in real terms, it gets really confusing. But let me delete these, and then I'll show you what I'm trying to. Yeah. It gets very complicated otherwise.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Richard's point, and I think my kind of my emphasis on placement of masts in our previous discussion was because by seeing what color the aspect on the mast is going to based on how you set the blocks up, it kind of, if JMRI is using the mast, if you're using dispatcher for automation anyway, the mast will determine the speed, and so the mast aspect will determine the speed. So it will start the train slowing down if you've got a block which is occupied ahead of the block ahead, so you've got one block only to move into, you'll get a yellow aspect, and if you've got two blocks clear, you should you've got 4 aspect, you'll get a double yellow. But either that could cause your train to start slowing regardless of any other detection that happens. And in a way, on the real railway, obviously, a train traveling at, I don't know, what is it, 40 miles an hour at a yellow signal, is that a reasonable speed? Needs to be able to stop by the next signal, which will be red, with and slow reliably from that kind of speed.
I mean, I don't know about the that side of it, shall we say?
It just what if you're not if you've got some kind of reliance on very short blocks for slowing. I have seen this done in layouts which have used JMRI for automation, where I think they probably use scripting to do it, or something, but or just had 2 aspect masks, so a green aspect and a red, rather than 3 even. I mean, that's quite possible.
Then you can use SSL very nicely.
Yeah, you can use SSL, but my point is that if you run at a realistic top speed on a green, and then your next aspect is red, and you've got some kind of slowing down for it, you can end up with quite abrupt braking distances, because you're traveling at full line speed and then coming to a grinding halt. And I have seen people automate it like that. I mean, there's nothing, if you're doing it for demonstration purposes, in a way, there's nothing wrong with that. No. If you're trying to create a layout where you're having realistic slowing for different aspects and over with different lengths of trains and different weights of trains and that sort of thing, then you're into a different ballpark. But I mean, for a simple demonstration, it's not. I don't think it's a problem. I'm just as long as you're aware that what you're doing is effectively building yourself up to potentially have quite sharp kind of braking distances.
That's what this is.
Short,
it's mainly because this board, if you like to put it that way, is only 3 foot by 2 foot. And in N-gauge, and it's just purely to be able to play about with bits of track and so forth. That's all it is. This track. Now, if you remember my main track, which is the big one, the 5x3, again in N-gauge, but that's quite complex, as you know. I mean, I don't know if I can show it on here.
Welcome Andy Ambrose as well in the chat. He says, "Hi Lee, Anfield Road. Are you contemplating block signalling?" So,
well, yeah, we're all into that side. So, I mean, if I turn some of these on, I mean, this is my normal. Well, this is where all the sensors are going to be changing, of course, because of what we've been talking about. So now, where is it? Track. I mean, when you look at the track areas of this, it gets quite complex. I don't know if you can see that, can you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the main layout. Now, the signalling and involvement in that is going to be a lot more complex. But from what I'm learning now, or from what we're having to do on this current layout for playing, all the other sensors, the IR sensors, for example, that set of sensors there, I probably don't need. Because of the way we're talking about it now, because I've misunderstood in the early stages what the capability of JMRI was to actually set out or sort out its own logic. Because I was assuming I was going to have to do a lot of scripting like I did with the end-to-end.
Yeah, I think it's until you kind of see it working, it is hard to kind of appreciate just what it will do. It is actually pretty powerful. And I think what I'd like to do, Roy, I mean, we've spent quite a long time looking at yours. I think you're well on track with it now. I think I'd like to for Peter to share, if Peter's willing to. Have you got your plan available, Peter, to share, or should I mean I can do it from here.
I'm at home. And
you're at home. Sorry, yeah, you don't have it. I mean, I could share yours because you did send it to me.
Could I ask a couple?
If you'd want me to. I mean, I don't. It's your layout.
Yeah, please, if you can, that'd be much easier.
I've not got any screen of anything at the moment, so do you have to re-enable me, John?
Questions.
At the moment, I've only got. Do you have to re-enable me onto the talk or something like that? Because I've got no video at all.
You should be showing up. Everybody is seeing you at the moment, as far as I can see.
Yes, I can. Roy.
Yeah, I mean, I've not got any video here. I can't see any.
Well, let me try this option here.
What I might have to do is log out and come.
Does that help?
No. Let me come out of it if I can.
Yeah, you might need to log out and come back in again. I don't know what's happened there somehow.
I'm not sure. I've not even.
I can remove you and add you back in. Let me try that, Roy. Okay. Hold on a second. Does that work?
No. The thing is, I've not got any information or anything on the taskbar or anywhere that shows me being in a Zoom discussion.
It's a tab on. Well, it's probably in your browser, isn't it? It's not Zoom. We're using StreamYard. Yeah, it's your browser.
Okay, I've got it.
Yeah, you're looking at the wrong one. That's it.
Yeah, it was actually hidden behind something. Well, it was anyway. We're okay now.
Anyway, that's Roy.
Hello, Peter.
Can I ask you a couple of quick questions?
Yeah, carry on. I'm just going to be in the background doing stuff a minute.
The first one was how to reverse a local. If you have a circular track, if you put the local on it going clockwise, and you want to turn the local around so it's facing counterclockwise, the only way to do that is the it seems, is by programming CV bit 1 in CV29. It can't be done otherwise.
Now, if you're running DCC, when you put a loco on, the loco or the direction of the loco is determined by the loco direction itself.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the track.
Forward.
JMRI does not know how to treat that. If I turn the I have a steam loco with a single cab. If it's pointing clockwise, and I say forward on the throttle, and it goes forward, good. Now, if I pick up the local, turn it around so it's pointing counterclockwise, and if I want it to go go forward, I have to use the reverse on the throttle.
That seems very odd.
That's odd. That is really odd.
There's something
It may
wrong.
be odd, but that's the way things are.
Well, I mean,
set up by JMRI. There's no way I can invert.
Well, it works perfectly on my end-to-end running. I've had my 3 locos running on a piece of track here. Granted, they're on a rolling road, but when it's going forward and reverse, it does exactly that. I'll tell it to go.
Is it a single cab or a double cab local?
It's a single cab. It's just literally a diesel. It's the 08 shunters.
So if it's going forward and you pick it up, turn it around, and you want it to go forward in the other direction, what happens?
It goes forward. The wheels go in the correct direction because it's the loco that determines the direction. You don't reverse. Turning the loco round should make no difference whatsoever. If you selected it to go forward, it should go forward.
Well, I'll try it, but I came up with something else. Okay, I have to go try that. The second problem I have is even simpler. I have a single computer screen with my track on it.
Right.
Now I bring up a throttle. It starts hiding part of the screen. My solution is I would like to be able to use my iPhone and put the throttle on my iPhone. Is that possible?
Yes. You use the iThrottle.
Yeah.
I've got
engine driver.
Wide throttle or engine driver, depending on the
Yeah, I mean, on an iPhone,
you can start.
On iPhone, it's an iThrottle. I think it's iThrottle, isn't it? I've not got my phone in here at the moment.
Where is
It's
it? It's one of the scripts.
It's built into JMRI. You go into, if you go to your, I'll share my screen now. I'll show you because I'm just bringing this up anyway. So
right, okay.
I'll show you directly. So
as John says, the Y throttle will give you the throttle capability on your iPhone. There's another part, and that is free to download off the App Store. But by the same rule, you can also download, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the part that goes onto an iPad. And there you can have multiple throttles, and also you can have sections of track, although I've never tried it. Now, what I do from the problem what you're talking about, Richard, is unfortunately I've got a 27-inch screen at the side here. and I actually have my layout on the main screen and have all the throttles, etc., and whatever I need on the little screen, or I can swap them round.
Okay.
So that's that. Have you not got a second screen, Richard? No.
Not controlling my train. I have a second screen on my work desk here. Yes.
Yeah, we could share that and put your throttles onto that.
I can't because that doesn't control my layout. I have another computer controlling my layout.
Oh, okay.
So what do I have to? You say what are the things I have to look at?
Okay, can you see the screen there with the JMRI menu?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if you go to, I always forget where it is, but debug. Down here, you've got things like start JMRI web server, start Y throttle server, rail driver throttle. So it depends what you want to do, but so Y throttle server will give you the Y throttle app or engine driver app access to your layout. Basically, if your Wi-Fi is configured appropriately, you have to make sure that you're not getting blocked with any of your virus scanners, that type of thing. But once you got that set up and working, it will give you your app can connect directly to your PC, your laptop, whatever it is where that's running, and you'll have access.
And I have to get an app for the iPhone, my iPhone, then.
Yeah,
it's a free app. Well, no, actually on the iPhone, I don't know if it is free on the iPhone. Certainly, engine driver's free.
Yeah, the Wi throttle on the iPhone is free.
Okay, I'll take a look. I'll go take a look at that.
Right, Peter, this is your layout, which I was playing with. I'm just going to.
Carry
on.
Make a comment. I've actually upgraded. I've had all sorts of problems on my layout doing editing. So in desperation, I thought, right, I'll now go and upgrade to the latest version. I got as far as 4.2 JMRI, and the issues I was having disappeared. Yeah. So it looks like the JMRI panel I had corruptions within it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were issues in the various versions. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you running? What are you running now? 4.20?
4.20, because it's the interim change between 4.174 that was on. You should not go directly to 4.22.
Okay. I've started off with 4.22.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just read through the notes and it gave a warning.
Well, I have no pass, so I wasn't upgraded. I just started off running 4.22.
Okay, fine. I was at 417.4.
Yeah. Okay.
That was quite a very old one.
Just want to say hi to CSX Mad and Sajad Hussein. Hi, everybody says, and welcome to the club. So we're looking at Peter. If you want to just tell us a little bit about this, because I'm sharing your screen here. If I can actually click on that, why can't I click on that? For some reason, it's not working. Seems to be jammed up. Okay. I think JMRI's just hung on me.
Do you want to describe what's there for now?
There we are. It's just on an extraordinary go slow. Right. Okay. Peter. Yeah. Do you want to describe what we're seeing?
Okay. Well, basically, down here we've got an up and down, the down main and the up main, feeding into a fiddle yard, which is down here. By the way, I've now completed all the track work in Layout Editor to join up the other end. But basically, that's what it is. And there's a branch line that goes off down here, which I've yet to build, but it'll go down in front of this, which will feed a branch station and so forth. The problem I've got, I'm trying to model the southern region around about the 60s. And what the railway did, as they retired semaphore signals, they actually replaced 1-for-1 colour light signalling. So on this here, we've got a gantry, and that gantry is having a down main 3-aspect signal because it's a through route, but unusually, perhaps, the two other signals to the right were the junctions down to platform 3 and down here to the loop line. So basically that's that set up. Now what happens is I've got JMRI to look at the points, the block sections to the next signal, which is at the end of platform 1, which is the down main platform, and that's looking back and will indicate if this point, if the I'm moving my point and thinking it's me doing it, but
I'm trying to follow you, Peter.
Yeah. So the route down there for the first signal, SD2, down to SD5 is via point. I can hardly read it, unfortunately. Point 1A.
That's this one.
Turn out 1A and also turn out 8B. Sorry, that's for the main line. But for the purpose of this, between the two signals, it's only one turnout I'm interested in. So I've set that. And I've also made sure I've selected the blocks that are in between, including platform 1, making sure they're always clear.
So that changes the aspect of SD2 to red, and then SD1 goes yellow.
That's it. So it's the next signal down is probably red.
This one here.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So that would be how it's set up at the moment. I've got the rest of the signals in now on the down main, so I'll feed you a copy of that later on.
A couple of quick questions. You're using SML. You're using SML logic, I suppose.
Yes, I'm using signal mask logic throughout on this.
And the second question is, did you did all this by hand? You didn't use the did you use any of the automation generation?
By the automation, do you mean the signal mask logic options?
Probably Discover. Yeah, I mean, I think he's talking about Discover.
I've not used Discover. If that's what you're seeking, this has all been done purely using the dialogue messages.
Okay.
Yeah. When I started playing with those. Yeah, Peter, when I started playing with this, I mean, I did set up what I played with here with using Discover. What we were struggling with last week, if people didn't hear our discussion then, I'll just put that down so I can see people and check the forum. I'll go back to here in a minute. What I was struggling with was the fact that in JMRI, a block boundary can only have, apart from if you're talking about a point turnout, normally you only, I say one, it actually wants two. It wants two masts, one for the up direction, one for the down direction. So it assumes all tracks are bi-directional, which I think is an Americanism really, because most of the time in America you have very long single track lines which run over great distances and then passing loops, and that's predominantly the kind of the mindset. So obviously, if we're talking about normal operation for a British layout, say where we've got up and down lines, then if you click on a block boundary, you only need to identify the up track, assuming that that's an up direction for a mast. You don't really need to have one the other way if you're never going to run trains the other way. Obviously, if you are going to make it bi-directional, then you need to have signaling for both directions. But what we were struggling with was this idea that putting that one mast for that direction on a block boundary doesn't allow you to put your multiple southern region mast heads, if you want to call them that, onto the same boundary. So what do you do in that circumstance? And I kind of scratched my head a little bit on that one, because in JMRI you've got signal heads, and you've got the idea that those make up masts. But then when you go into a system like the icons for the signaling system for BR 2003, when you're creating your masts in JMRI, you find that, well, actually there aren't any junctions in there. They don't have multiple headed masts. It's just not part of the system that's defined. So there is, as we said last time, there's a bit of a hole in JMRI in terms of the thinking through and finding what you want, because it's not necessarily always the case that it's there, depending on which country it is and whether somebody's bothered to build the signaling system for it and that type of thing. So it seems that it's kind of that's a bit of a blocking issue. But what I've found you can do is add the main mast, which is for the straight route through, onto the block boundary ahead of the junction. That gives you one mast which is working. Okay, the other two which you create can sit alongside and don't have to be associated with a block boundary. The logic of those can be set up manually. You can do the discover as if you basically associate a mast with another mast, which you do when you add signal logic. You can say, well, I'm looking at down towards this mast, and then you can tell it which blocks to look at and so on and so forth. So you can build it manually. But the ones which you click on the block boundary to associate, those will discover quite well if you've got a mast down the track to look for, and as long as your sensors are set up and that type of thing. Which means most of it you can do using Discover, and you can still get a gantry effect with multiple heads by having the other masts there as well. But it does require a bit more work to set those up. But I mean, it's not too hard. Normally, if you're doing a branching off somewhere, it's a less complicated set of things that you're looking at, and you might have a minimal kind of requirement for that anyway. So I think that's it is possible to do it. It just doesn't appear initially that you can get around that one very easily. So without some more kind of stuff developed to or a different signaling system chosen. I mean, if we went for the GWR system, then maybe there's options in that. I've looked at that a little bit, but there are other systems in there that you can play with. So which might offer something else. But I certainly haven't found an easy way of creating junctions and doing it other than starting to set it up by hand for the most part. But yeah, for the main head, stick it on the block boundary, do a discover on it, and then you've got a significant amount already working. So
yeah, one thing I'd like to add to that, if you're looking at SD1, which is the start, the down main entrance, block entrance, what I've got is that particular mast is looking at three masts, which is SD2, SD3, and SD4.
Could you bring it up? I can't on the screen.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm struggling to get to the share button at the moment. Am I already sharing?
No.
Is it there?
There's nothing there at the moment.
No.
Just the videos.
Shares just telling me stop screen. Oh, well, maybe I have to do that first. I don't know.
In France, you have long single track, double track things like in the U.S. But the problem is they don't use signals. They use because they're on the high-speed train lines.
Yeah,
they're unidirection. They are unidirectional.
Yeah,
and you don't have it. As far as I know, you don't have any high-speed train lines in England yet.
I think we do, but
okay.
Yeah, we've got the Channel Tunnel link, for example.
Yeah, that's kind of a short distance, but yeah, okay.
What from London to the coast? That's quite a way.
Yeah, I don't even have
It's a high-speed line all the way down.
Now it's high speed. It's a high speed line all the way into King's Cross. Yeah.
No, it's St Pancras.
St Pancras. Okay.
Yeah, just
it's London. Go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can remember is I had to commute between St. Pancras and Paddington, and it cost me a fortune when I had to buy a one-way ticket on the Underground.
Yeah, and you have to, if you're any good at geography, it will be confusing because you head out of London going in a northerly direction to go to the continent, which is ridiculous. But anyway.
Yeah. But
so, Peter, yeah.
Looking at this, SD1 there is a path to 3 signals, and you'll have to set up all 3 at SD1 mast. So there are 3 different paths, although it's to a different signal. The reason for that is that you've got to make sure that your settings, if you were to change SD2 from red to yellow, for instance, that will be reflected back at SD1. Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting question.
If you only had one path down to SD2 and then treat each of them separately, yeah, you could end up with a potential problem, because you'd be masking the effect of SD2 and 3 back to SD1.
Right, I've just looked at what SD1's currently got, and it has got 3 sets of logic. It's looking at that.
That's right, one for each of the signals. Yeah,
so if any one of those are active, it will be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that will handle that in the logic.
I'm just wondering if that was discovered automatically or whether that was. I'm just going to play with this. I'm just going to delete those and do a discover.
I've never used the function, so I'll be interested.
Yeah. Interesting. It's not come up with anything.
Okay.
Didn't work. But then you can. Yeah. I'm interested to know. You must have set that up manually then.
In about 20 minutes to get that.
Oops.
Sorry.
You must have set that up manually, I presume then.
Okay.
I think. Well, maybe the issue actually is something else, because your SD1 is not allocated to a block boundary at the moment.
No, I've got a bit of a problem. Yeah, I've got a bit of a problem on blocks. This is what was causing me a nightmare. As you already know, so I'm tidying up blocks and so forth. And I've now got the ability to edit block names. I was stopped from editing it in JMRI.
I hear what you're saying. I'm not. When you say what, can you go into a bit more detail? When you're trying to do what exactly? Sorry.
Again, sorry.
Sorry, there's somebody talking in the background. Is that? So I can hear voices.
Yeah, unfortunately, as I say, I'm not in my house.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not sure what. Yeah, could you describe the problem in more detail? Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, I've got problems where block boundaries and blocks. I couldn't edit. I couldn't change names. I couldn't do anything in there.
Sounds like the same problem that I'm having with that other layout.
Now, the reason I found for that is I had a corrupt copy of the JMRI, and the program itself, Panel Pro, was inhibiting me from making any changes on blocks. So that was my fundamental problem, because as I was building the rest of the layout up to the other side of the fiddle yard, what I found was I couldn't name blocks and so forth, which is essential. Yeah. I've also inserted a new block at the start because I had a baseboard joint, and I'm calling that now all one block from the signal right the way through on the home main name. Sorry, down main home. So that block, it goes all the way to the signal again now, even though it's a different sensor that's actually tripping. Okay.
So this block here.
Yeah, that block comprises of a baseboard joint where I've got another sensor just after the signal.
Where's the signal I mean, because these are a gantry,
Taking
aren't they?
SD1. Taking SD1.
Oh, SD1, yeah.
Yeah.
Because is that here or here?
That's
Really?
well, it's that the circle bit obviously is the block itself.
That's the middle of the block,
yeah. That block I've had to make new from another sensor. So what I've done in down main home, I managed to get that built in with the sensor on the other to call it down main home. So it's one block.
Yeah, so if I edit that, rather than it being called clear down main home, it's now just called down. It's now just called. No, what's it called?
It's cleared. It's what they call it now.
Sorry, I'm confused.
Down
main home.
That's it. Clear down main home. Thank you.
Those are all clear down main home. Oh right, okay. This is all clear down main home.
Yeah,
they are all clear.
It's one block.
So if you operate down main, if you operate that down main home sensor, top left hand corner.
Yeah.
Can you operate that, John?
Yeah, that's going all the way around to there.
That's the issue that I've been trying to do, which is to get all those three blocks operating from one sensor. That's what I couldn't get before.
Yeah.
So how have you done that?
Well, they're all the same block name, Roy.
Sorry?
They're not, it's not 3 blocks on here. It's not separate blocks at the moment. These are all the same block name, even though you've got a little green connector.
Yeah.
Which is that's not a block boundary. If you right click on, if it's only an anchor point, it's not a block boundary. So you can't add masts in there because this is the same. It's the same name of block as this one, so they're all the same name.
Yeah,
so that's
you can't do what I was trying to do, which is effectively I would have been trying to add a mast. Well, a sensor.
You could call them different blocks, and you can have a different sensor. It's not going to stop you doing what you want to do.
Okay, well,
you just have to activate them somehow or other. Yeah.
And that activation would be through Logix, would it?
I think Logix is probably a good idea.
Right.
But
that's fine.
You know, your Arduino might kind of do it. I don't know. It depends on how many channels you've got. I think it's a case of what's the best solution for you on that one. There's many ways to do it.
I'll play about with it. I'll find a method.
But for Peter, I'm just trying to see what happened here, because obviously I've just broken it. I just deleted the logic for this one, and I've now I'm not able to add it. I thought maybe if I just did a discover on it, it would at least find the one which I've associated with a block boundary, which is so I'll put SD2 up here. So if you look at set signal mask, there's ST2 down main to platform 1. So if we put something there, this is going green, which is why actually I kind of dragged that round over here, because really the stopping point for a train, if your block is the boundary point is here, would be somewhere near that block boundary rather than right around the curve there. I would have thought. I mean, can you just comment on that?
I will. I say unfortunately it's not it's not a scale distance between blocks. If you take the solid red, the first block there should be a separate block.
SD1?
And stop. Then this one is the other. Yeah. So and this is the other with the gantry on. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's. But sorry, this is. How do you mean the other one?
Sorry. What I'm saying is the first section that I've got down there, track segment, that should be an individual block. Yes.
Down here, the dotted bit.
Yeah. That way, this one, and it should be further down at the start of the block, because down here is the down main, north down main, home. North down main track. So if SD6 should come down to the end of the hatched lines.
SD6.
Yeah. SD1 rather.
Yeah,
SD1.
Yeah.
It comes down to the end of the black line. So it enters, first of all, the down main, and therefore it makes sense that that's down main cleared as an individual block. Yeah. At the moment, the two are merged together.
Okay.
The two track segments merged together.
You're talking about? No.
Yeah, it's going into. That's the next block section. South Junction. So
yeah,
that leads on.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got an error, basically. I've merged that incorrectly. I should have made that a separate block. That's the SD1, where SD1 currently is. Just if that goes a bit further down towards the hatch lines, then that first block, or the first section of track, would be down main cleared as an individual block. The problem, you're quite right, is the gantry is embedded in the same block, which gives a bit of a complication. Yeah.
Yeah, something going wrong here.
Andy Ambrose has just mentioned.
I'm going to have a play with that.
Okay.
Sorry, Roy.
I was just saying that Andy's just mentioned that 150 miles is a short line in the USA. In the US,
it will not get you from New York to Boston.
What's the one above it?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm trying to follow everything at once.
The fastest train I've been on was from Hong Kong to Guangzhou, which was running at 300 kilometers an hour.
That's the magnetic. Is that the magnetic levitation one? Is that
no, not at all.
No, I know the one. I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's impressive, that line, isn't it?
It's
impressive.
It's an impressive line going from Hong Kong north. North to Guangzhou. Actually, from Shenzhen to Guangzhou, but
it's quite good. Sorry, I think I'm going to have a play with that offline, because I was hoping to show you that it would work, and then I've done something. I've got a feeling JMRI is kind of, maybe because of the stream, I'm just overloading my machine probably a bit now, trying to do everything at once. But
John,
I'll have a play with that offline and see what.
John,
yeah.
Do you want me to send you my latest,
the updated one? Yeah, if you do that, Peter, that'd be great. I can at least see where you feel you're up to, rather than what I'm imagining you're up to.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've got to do is what I've just said, and that's to make make two blocks between the gantry, so the two get between the first signal and the gantry, so that I've got I can, once it's cleared the blocks, I can start, it'll correctly do it. At the moment, what actually happens is it's got to clear the signal 1, SG1 actually goes yellow when the train has cleared, when the train has cleared South Junction, but
Okay.
it clears to yellow, which
Yeah,
is correct
yeah.
because the gantry is at red. When the train's in the station, then the gantry still stays red and SD1 clears, stays at yellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I get it clear of the station to the North Junction, what actually then happens is platform 1 obviously goes red, yellow for the gantry, and green for SD1. So
Yeah.
it's following it correctly,
Yeah.
but what I'm understanding is I should really make that two block sections rather than encompassing everything into one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I right?
I'll have a look and see what I think. I mean, I'll have a look, Peter. Maybe
Okay.
we can chat again. It'd be good to explore it again when I'm not kind of glitching here, because yeah. Somebody's phone, is it?
Yeah, it's mine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm muting Richard. You don't want that. So I missed what the conversation was about the high speed trains really going on. What was that Andy saying? 186 miles. I'm not sure what that was in response to. Faster than anything in the USA at the moment. I think even UAC only does 140 on the NEC. Well, NEC is a bit like WCMA. So West Coast Main Line. So interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I did get very, very scared by the fact that high speeds on American railroads are allowed over routes where they still have these traditional half barriers on what I would consider to be pretty wide junction crossings, which they have already had quite, far too many incidents as I can see. But I'd love to think they were going to upgrade their crossings pronto. And but sorry, Richard's talking, but I think he's off his telephone. I'm going to unmute him now.
Oh, yeah. You have to understand one thing about the United States, is especially the Northeast Corridor. There is no open land. All the land is occupied by towns. If they're going to put a high-speed route in, they can't, because the towns will not grant them the right of way. It also goes through at least 3 state governments: New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and possibly Rhode Island. So the political problem is they can't put in a high-speed line on a new route. The only thing they can do is basically what they're doing now, using sort of trains which tip. I guess.
Tilt, yeah.
But there is no, I mean, the population density and the political density, and in terms of the number of political boroughs, is such that they'll never get anything. They won't be able to get anything through there.
I mean, so running high speed on the lines which have been upgraded where they have been is not, to me is fraught with. I mean, I watched a video a couple of days ago. And it's, the excitement! There's a 100-mile-an-hour train about to pass by, which for us is kind of normal, but for this little station in the sticks somewhere in America with a half barrier either side of the road, little half barrier thing.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can wander around and get on the track there. On the speed this thing went past, you're thinking that isn't adequate.
No. The French who were the first to build high-speed trains built high-speed train lines. The line going between Paris and Lyon took 4 hours by train, traveling at about 160 kilometers an hour. When they put the high-speed train in, they built a whole new line, much more direct, and did the grades and everything. And it cost a fortune, but it works.
Yeah.
Can you do it politically in other places? That's the problem.
Yeah. I'm aware, Richard, we've not looked at your own layout at all this session so far, but we're already up to an hour and a half. So I'm thinking probably might be time to call it quits. And
I think so.
but I'm as I was saying, I think obviously a Wednesday afternoon for myself is not going to happen for a while.
Good luck for Monday.
Tuesday actually, because of the bank holiday. So I'm just on Tuesday. Yeah.
So you're starting with the holiday then.
Can you do it at another time?
Well, once I've done my 3 weeks of training, which is 9 to 5, I will then be on to a 4 days on, 4 days off shift. So I'll have a long 4-day weekend basically. But it's rolling, so it's going to shift. So I can come back on and do the same kind of time on one of those days, but it might be shifting through the week. So if I can manage to do an evening at some point in the next 3 weeks, I will. But sometimes evenings get busy for me, so I won't guarantee doing that. But I will if I can. But it might be in an evening. So if anyone's around, it will happen. If they're not, then it won't. So otherwise, it'll be 3 weeks, 4 weeks away. So.
Yeah, I could do evenings with 24 hours notice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll look at my schedules and see what I can figure out if I can do something. If I can. Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys, for your time and for sharing your adventures in this.
Okay.
It can appear from the outset to be something which is pretty much just plug and play, and as soon as you start going into the inner workings of things, it's like some kind of labyrinth of of excitement, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
should we call it complication? A challenge.
A challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Appreciate
Okay.
See you all again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Bye.